Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today we are going to talk about a Necromancer head. And I have some other Necromancer heads here to compare it to, so we'll be able to talk about all of them. So right off the bat, we have Boneflame Succubus Skull. This is an elite item already, I'm pretty sure, and that means that you're not going to be able to upgrade it past this. It's 367 defense on it with a relatively low block chance of 30, which may not necessarily be a bad thing if you're not building block chance, because usually you want your block chance to be low on your shield if you're not building block chance. We have 95 strength requirement on this, which is relatively low, and level 72, which is relatively high. It has a 15% chance to cast level 3 Terror when struck, which is going to have monsters running away from you in fear. So it could be a potentially nice defensive mechanic. Of course, this does not work on some bosses. +3 to Necromancer skills, which unfortunately is a variable, so it does vary between +2 to +3, which means that you're going to be able to find this in kind of a bad shape. We have 20% faster run walk, which is always nice to have on any character. We get 120 to 150% enhanced defense, which this head actually does have some pretty nice defense on it. We also have all resistances, which does vary between 20 to 30. Now, the interesting thing about this helmet, or sorry, this helmet, because, you know, it's a head. The interesting thing about this shield is that it is a compromise between the Homunculus and the Dark Force spawn. So the very interesting thing about this is that this is a +3, and this is also a +3. So they're both +3. This has resistances, and this has faster cast. So we're looking at a situation where you would probably want to use a Dark Force Spawn Skull if you were doing, for instance, a faster cast-based character. Someone like a Bone Spear or a Bone Spirit Necromancer would have very good use out of this. Whereas this one may be better off for a character who is very specifically trying to use, I don't know, maybe like summoning, or maybe you're not using a specific skill that needs to be cast very fast. And then, of course, the Homunculus also has +2 with +2 curses, but has a much higher defensive capability. Very, very nice increased chance of blocking, very, very nice regeneration to mana and resistances, as well as +5 to mana after each kill. So when you consider the difference between these three items, it really kind of seems like Dark Force Spawn Skull is very, very good for a non-defensive posture, because you notice it has no resistances, has no block chance, just about nothing. Whereas the Homunculus is a very defensive item, giving you most of the defensive capability that you can get. So very, very high on the defensive tree. Whereas Boneflame tends to be kind of like dead center in the middle between the two of the defensive and the non-defensive abilities, while still giving you the +3 and a little bit of resistances, but not giving you the block chance and some of the other nice things that the Homunculus is giving you. Whereas it's not giving you the faster cast or the increase to maximum mana that you're getting from the Dark Force Spawn Bloodlord Skull. So it's kind of an interesting thing to think about as far as the difference between these particular items is concerned, and why you might choose Boneflame over something else. We also want to take a look and see where you can potentially find this item, because that's going to be one of the big difficulties, right? So let's take a look over at Silo's Pen, and we'll see if we can figure out actually where you might be able to locate yourself a Boneflame. So over on Silo's Pen, this is a relatively high-level item at level 72, so I'm going to assume that we are a rather high-level character with 300% Magic Find. We are going to be looking at bosses, so let's go ahead and search for bosses. And as you can see, not a lot of drop chances here on the bosses. We're looking at pretty much just these three bosses right here, and then, of course, the quest kills of those bosses. And then, of course, we also have the rank defilers, which have a chance to drop everything, but really terrible probabilities. Let's take a look at super uniques, and let's see what kind of super uniques have a chance to drop this. So again, not a very large list. Pindleskin, Frozenstein, Thresh Socket, Sharptooth Slayer, Dockfair, and all pretty terrible probabilities, but I mean, honestly, this list is not very long. Eldritch the Rectifier has a chance to drop this, though, at 1 in 37,000. So, I mean, perhaps a good combination here, if you wanted to try and farm for this, would be Pendleskin, Doc Farron, Shank the Overseer, Eldritch Directifier, and Thresh Socket. Might be a pretty good 4-hit combo. Boom, boom, boom. Of course, you know, just have fun with it, just because you can get a lot of good items for those particular monsters in hell difficulty. It's a good farming routine. They're very easy to come by. They're always in the same place. You know, obviously Doc Farron is in the center of the siege zone. Shank is at the end of the siege zone. Eldritch is next to the waypoint, and Thresh Socket is at the end of the same zone that Eldritch is in. So, so very interesting there. Not a lot of choices though, and definitely a high-level item that you'd have to farm for specifically. Now, if you were a Necromancer and you found this, the +3 to Necromancer skills along with the 20% faster on walk is always going to be nice. 30 to all res may not be enough for hell difficulty, though, depending on how your build is specifically being run. So you might want to take that into account as well. You could, of course, always socket it and put a perfect diamond in there, and you get a little bit more resistances out of it. So you have 49 instead of 30. And the downside, though, is that there's a very good chance that you're going to find this, and it's going to be a +2 Boneflame with only like 20 all res, and it's going to be terrible. So, so keep that in mind. All in all, I feel like this is sort of like the generic one out of the three. It's more of the one that you would use on pretty much any Necromancer, as opposed to the one that you would use on the specific Necromancer that you would want. Like, if I was to choose, if somebody just laid down with these 3 heads in front of me and said, choose which one you want for your Necromancer, I'd probably end up choosing Dark Force, Spawn, or Homunculus instead. I probably wouldn't specifically pick Boneflame, just simply because it doesn't really have the same kind of benefits as the other two. I like to go in extremes as opposed to what's it called? Moderation. Boneflame really seems like the moderation helmet. Like, it's just sort of like the helmet that gives you just enough of everything, but not really a massive amount of anything. Like, if I were specifically trying to build max block on my Necromancer, the Homunculus would probably be the better choice. And if I was trying to get with, you know, a max faster cast, the Dark Force Spawn is going to be the better choice because it has 30% faster cast and 10% increased maximum mana. Seems like it would be a much better choice, for instance, for a Poison and Bone Necromancer, because it would give me the extra mana I need to fire off my Bone Spears, and it would give me the extra faster cast to fire them off faster, which would definitely be very nice. And even though it doesn't have +3 to all, it has +3 summon, +3 poison, +3 curse. Those +3s are going to be very useful and will effectively make it a +3 item anyway. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys and gals. And if your bones are on flamed, then give this video a like. How about that? And, and as always, keep watching.